Hey, welcome to another episode of my live stream. It's called My Journey to the Trinity, and my name is Hussein, and I have a real special friend with me today. It's Professor James. Welcome, Professor James.
Thank you.
It's great to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, and Professor James has English Qur'ans. Now, these are all that you're looking at here. There's all different English Qur'ans. They're all the way over there, all the way over here. And so Professor James has a real knowledge of English translations of the Qur'an, which you said is the third biggest?
The third most printed Quran in the world.
First
is Arabic, of course,
and
the second is Urdu, and the third is English.
Third is English. Wow. And so what can you tell us, I guess, just whenever you talk about the translation of the Quran, first of all, I'll tell you, I'm an ex-Muslim, and I kind of heard that you're not supposed to translate the Quran.
You're right. There was a fatwa, and there may have been a fatwa even issued before that, but a fatwa issued in 1936 at Al-Azhar University, which stated the meaning of the Quran is untranslatable. So the Quran itself is, as you know, if you're a Muslim or an ex-Muslim, it has to be in Arabic.
It has to be in Arabic.
And that all these other Qurans, French, Japanese, German, English, are not really Qurans. And that's why when you look at most Qurans, not all, at least here in English, it'll say a meaning of the Quran, interpretation of the Quran. There are some Qurans here in front of us which actually say the Holy Quran, and now that causes controversy in Islam because of that fatwa issued in 1936 and the general knowledge amongst the Muslims that the Quran cannot be translated. So yes, that's a true statement.
So how did they start translating all these Qurans into English? I mean, look at all of you guys, all of these. How many are there, do you know?
You have about 62 unique translations in front of you. So let me tell you what you are seeing and what you aren't seeing.
Okay.
You are seeing Qurans that contain all 114 surahs. These are full Qurans because there are translations out there that are partial translations of the Quran in English. I do not collect partial translations of the Quran. Like, you know, where the translator or the author says, I'm not going to translate all the surahs, I'll do these top 12 or whatever. I'm not interested in those Qurans. I want Qurans which are full translations of the Arabic Quran. So these are all full translations, 62 unique ones here. There are in English that I know of. By the way, nobody really knows how many English translations there are. That's one of the issues. I know of 78 translations. I've got 62.
Wow. These are all English Qurans.
Yes.
Translations. And now you were telling me a little bit about the history of the printing of the Quran. Can you tell me that a little bit in Arabic and in English? Because this is something I never knew about.
Yeah, this is most interesting. Gutenberg, Johannes Gutenberg. In 1452, he printed the first Bible in Germany. Revolutionized the world. This is like internet revolutionizing the world, electricity, etc. The printing press absolutely changed everything.
Okay.
By 1452, he did this. So how were books made before that? Well, you had scribes sitting there copying things by hand, and you know, if they made a mistake on a manuscript, throw it out, do it again. Very laborious, very expensive thing to do. So now we got a printing press. 1452, first Bible printed. By 1500, roughly 50 years after, Europe had 15 to 20 million books.
Wow.
Revolutionized the spread of information and the spread of language. Now, here is something that I noted when I read a book by a guy named John Mann, and the book is called Gutenberg. You can look it up.
Okay.
Mann, M-A-N-N, and the title is Gutenberg. And in that, he talks about, so within 50 years, right, we got millions of books in Europe. Well, what happened in the Orient, including the Middle East? They were obviously aware of the printing press. Did they print books? No, they didn't. Because knowledge in the Middle East, China, the Orient, etc., was translated from teacher to student and was all done verbally.
Orally. Yeah.
Orally. It was an oral tradition.
Okay.
So when the printing press came, Islam essentially said, we'll have nothing to do with that.
Oh, wow.
So here's the West printing books, distributing information, and Islam is actually regressing in terms of its knowledge at this point because it's not sharing the information. Information is held with teacher given orally to the student. And I believe, and if you look back in the history of Islam, this is when we start seeing Islam. Islam was even declining before that. You can read books by Ibn Khaldun. But with this printing press, though, Islam starts declining. Well, you're not spreading information. The first printed Quran, 1828.
The first printed Arabic?
Urdu. And Urdu. One of the earliest printed Qurans was in the West. And it was printed in Latin. And it was printed for, let's see, I'll find my notes here on that. Yeah, the very first printed Quran in the West was in Latin. And it came with a recommendation by Martin Luther. So why would the West print a Quran before Islam?
Okay, let me get this right. The first printed Quran in all of history was in Latin?
Was in Latin.
So they had translated from Arabic to Latin?
Well, we had English, probably, I'm assuming Germans did that at the time.
Wow.
Because Latin was, the language mainly of theology.
Okay.
During that period.
Wow. And so what year was that again?
1543.
1543. Okay. So that was the first printed Quran was in 1543.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said Martin Luther said something about it?
Yeah. I got a quote for you to read.
Okay.
For me to read, for you to listen to.
Okay. This is what Martin Luther said about the Quran. You know, Martin Luther, the great reformer, who the leader of the Protestant Reformation.
Because you should ask the question, why are these Westerners printing the Quran? Are they converting to Islam? Why? Well, no, they're not. Listen to this. And I quote. This is Martin Luther speaking. And I quote. I am convinced that nothing more irksome and harmful could possibly be done to Muhammad or the Turks, more than weapons, than the publication among Christians of their Quran. By reading it, Christians may see what an utterly accursed, shameful, wretched book it is, full of lies, fables, and abominations. Therefore, my kind and Christian petition to you, my gracious and dear sirs, is be pleased to allow this book freely circulate without hindrance for the glory of Christ, for the good of Christians, for the harm of the Turks, and to the disgust of the devil. So why did Martin Luther recommend the Quran? Because he knew that Christians, if you looked at this and you understand your holy scriptures and you look at this Quran, you will see it's lies and fables, abominations, etc.
Wow. That is like, it's like, one thing that we're seeing with the internet right now. You see so much of Islam has been secretive. But then when television, especially satellite, because I worked a lot with Father Zechariah Bookers, he did satellite television.
Right.
You're talking like about the Gutenberg press. This it took knowledge out there where the people were before they didn't know these things.
And they couldn't get it.
Yeah. But now they can get it. And so this is almost like one of those things that's happened with those, those milestones in the development of knowledge. That because I think is that Islam thrives in ignorance when people don't know
and secrecy.
Secrecy, yes.
It sure does. Like one point I'll make later, and I'll show you guys in a little bit here, the first edition of the 1734 George Sale Quran.
That's the first.
Well, that's the second Quran.
Second Quran. I've heard
in that
Quran
by George Sale is a reference to the Gospel of Barnabas.
Oh, my goodness.
Which Muslims did not know about until George Sale put it in the preface of his Quran.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
When he put it in the preface of that Quran, and Muslims as some Muslims will know undoubtedly today. They say, oh, look, Christians, you don't put the Gospel of Barnabas in your Bible. It's a true scripture. Well, anybody who's ever examined the Gospel of Barnabas knows that it's just full of problems. I'll just give you just one problem. It references a city and a seaport, except that city's 30 miles inland. Okay? The Gospel of Barnabas, I find Muslims today backing away from the Gospel of Barnabas. And you know why? Because of the internet. I call them internet Muslims because they change their views because, like the printing press, the internet now is exposing all the nonsense that's in the Gospel of Barnabas, and Muslims are going, oh no, we're going to stop using that Gospel of Barnabas thing that we've been using for centuries, because now the information's getting out there that it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, you know, one thing Father Zechariah says, you know, like I'll refer to him just because I've learned.
Oh yeah, no, he's a great guy.
Is that, well, why don't the Qur'an printers print the Gospel of Barnabas? They, you know, they won't, because there's actually a verse in there in Arabic. It says about Muhammad on Judgment Day, he's sitting, the word is mahbud in Arabic, which is like he's like dizzy, confused, and not knowing, you know, like oblivious, like that. And the word in Arabic is mahbud. And this is in the Gospel of Barnabas that they always, you know, the reason they like it is because it talks about Ahmed, you know, the coming of Ahmed.
Right.
So do you have that, George Sale, that Quran?
Yes.
You guys, this guy has some of the amazing.
Are we going to check? We know we're online and we got sound?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we got, you know, the.
Excellent.
Is everybody hearing? Can anybody send me a message and tell me that you can hear us well? You know, sometimes they'll send a comment on the comment section right there. So,
okay.
You know, this is the first time I'm doing it with a microphone. And so, you know, it's because we have so much stuff we want to show you. And so that's why we're a little bit far away from the, okay. Yes. Okay.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I don't even know who that Anel Sanchez. Okay.
This is, and by the way, also with these Qurans, there are a few exceptions. I seek first edition, first printings.
Wow.
I don't want the 1734 George Sale Quran printed in 1999. I want the 1734 George Sale Quran printed in 1734.
Wow.
And that's what this one is.
Oh my gosh. Can I look at it?
This is the actual Quran from 1734.
Wow. This is like Al Quran of Muhammad. So this is like, are these the surahs?
Surah 4.
Oh, Surah 4. Okay. And where
he doesn't have verse numberings here.
Oh, he doesn't.
No, but I did, especially in Surah 4,
verse 34.
We're looking for a pencil mark.
Okay.
In the
so this is actually printed in 1734.
Oh no, this is the preliminary discourse. Well, no, we aren't even in the Quran yet.
Oh, okay.
This is the reference to the Gospel of Barnabas I was mentioning.
Okay.
When he mentions it here, that's when Muslims became aware of it. See, now we're in the Quran here.
Okay, there you go.
Chapter 4, I believe I put a note in. I know people say, you write in your books this old? Yes, I do. Because they're my books.
Wow.
There's 434, actually.
Okay.
We got to find it here. And the English, as you are going to see, doesn't read like English today.
Okay.
It's a little harder to read.
This is 434 in the George Sale Quran. Against them, God, okay. And women are obedient, careful in their absence of their husbands, for that God preferred them by committing them to the care and protection of the men. But those whose perversiveness ye
persevere, maybe, or keep going.
You shall be apprehensive of, rebuke, remove them into separate apartments, and chastise them. So it says chastise them. The Arabic word is udrubahum. So this kind of like, it kind of leaves it open for if he fear.
Keep reading the next sentence to see if it.
Okay.
But if
they fail to be obedient unto you, seek not
occasion
of quarrel against them, for God is great.
He said chastise. Yeah.
Now I bet if we looked into the those notes, we might see different words. Wow, this is the second English translation of the Quran.
Yes.
Wow, I would really like to look into different verses, how he translated like 9:5, 9:29.
I'm starting to do that.
Yes.
Wow. 9:5, 9:29, 5:51, 4:34 are kind of my touchstone verses to see how Quranic translation changes over time, because it does. And we can talk about that.
Now I want to ask you, just before we get into more detail on these Qurans, I want to ask you, why are you doing this?
Yeah. So here, I'm going to make a long story really short. I study lots of religions. I don't study Islam. We were talking earlier. I spend a lot of time dialoguing 7 to 8 minutes. I have one of the most extensive Jehovah's Witnesses libraries that you're going to find here, so etc. About 8 months before September 11th, 2001, I had finished reading one of my Christian apologetical books. I don't know why. I'm standing in front of my library and I'm looking at my books and thinking, what can I read next? And I just felt impressed. We can call it my own inner feeling. I'm interfeeling myself. But I said this to myself, you've been ignoring this religion too long.
About Islam.
And I picked up my Yusuf Ali Quran. And I thought, I got to read Islam. This is 8 months before September 11th.
Oh, wow.
I did a deep dive in Islam 8 months before September 11th. By the time when September 11th hit,
did you hear when Yasser Qad used that phrase, deep dive? No. You gotta watch it. Watch the video. Okay.
I mean, I was reading so much about Islam before September 11th. I was having dreams about Islam. So when September 11th happened, I was really unaffected. I said, oh, no, I get it.
Oh.
I know why they did what they did.
Wow.
I've been reading the Quran. I've been reading the Hadith. I know what jihad is. I know what, don't give me this Western jihad. I know what jihad is. And so when it happened, and I'm talking to my friends, I go, oh, no, I get it. I've been reading their books. Now, I'm a business guy. And when that happened, I said to myself, self, books related to Islam, the prices are going to go sky high because people now are going to be interested in this.
Wow.
And I said to myself, if I don't start buying right now the books that I know that are old and rare, they'll be out of my price range. And this one here, I remember this one in particular. This is within 30, 40 days after September 11th. I found this book in Holland for $300.
Wow.
Now, that's a steal today's terms.
A 1794 book?
This spine here was missing. If you look closely, you'll see this has been redone. I have book restorers that fix my books. These covers are original. But when I first got it, this was missing.
Wow.
So I had them put this back on and attach it here and kind of restore the covers for me for $300. And I thought, because if I don't buy them now, they'll be out of my price range.
Can I just want to take it up there. I want people to look at it. This is a 1794 book. 1734 book. Okay. Qur'an by George Sale. This is the second English translation of the Qur'an. And you guys, for those of you who maybe came late, these are almost 70 different English Qur'ans. And so, wow. And so, okay. So I
started buying them, right? And because I had it with my reading, I had an interest in Islam. I went back to school to get a second master's degree and I got that degree in philosophy and religion, where I majored in really religion and wrote a thesis on English translations of the Quran from 1649, which is the first one, to the date of my thesis. So I started getting interest in the English translations of the Quran and started looking at all these and go, why are these authors creating all these Qurans? What do they think is wrong with previous Qurans? Or if not, what do they think they can bring to the table in terms of translation to do a better Quran? So I started getting interest in why are all these translators making all these Qurans? And that was the subject of my thesis at university. And so because of that, I started collecting all the Qurans I could get my hands on.
So what did you find? I mean, that's an interesting question. Why are there so many different English Qurans?
Well, I mean, we heard earlier from Martin Luther. Why produce the Quran? In that case, it was Latin, but why produce the Quran? And that was, let Christians read it. Oh, let them see the nonsense that's in the Quran. And so here's my observation of this. When I did my thesis, I grouped the Qurans in 3 groups. Okay. And I had the first group, which was 1649 to 1905. All the Qurans translated from 1649 to 1905 were translated by Christians for Christians.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Period. Now remember I said 3 periods. Okay. Of the 3 periods, the first period is the period with the fewest number of translations.
Okay.
So the first 250 years of Quranic translation was done by Christians for Christians.
And I just want to say one thing here, because I know this was a big issue, is that, CNN, they're always preaching Islam. And, there's a big deal about Thomas Jefferson's Quran. Somebody swore on Thomas Jefferson's Quran.
Yeah. The congressman from Minnesota.
Yeah. Daniel
Ellis. Yeah. When I saw that, by the way, he swore on the George Sale Quran.
Oh.
Okay. So I have an exact version of that Quran that he swore on in my library. I didn't bring it out because I brought out the first one. He swore over a Quran of George Sale that was printed later, and it's a much smaller 2-volume set of books.
I remember that.
When he did that, I laughed to myself because I said, "You're a fool." The reason I said that is I've read the preface to the George Sale Quran. I know what George Sale has to say about Islam. And he calls Muhammad a lecher and a false prophet. And here is this Minnesota congressman swearing in on the Jefferson Quran, which calls Muhammad a lecher and a false prophet. That's why I laughed and I said, "You're so foolish, you don't even know what you're doing."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's funny is I saw that guy, Daniel,
yeah,
I can't remember his last name, Elman or something else. But anyway, I saw him on the Bill Maher show. And the funny thing is that Bill Maher is wrong about everything, but he's right about the Quran.
Yeah.
And he asked Daniel, I can't remember his name, but he said to him, he was holding the Quran in his hand, Bill Maher was. And he said, "You know what?" He said, "This is one hate-filled holy book."
It is.
But you know what Daniel Ellison said? He said what Obama says, what CNN says, what the public schools say.
Right.
He said, "Oh, you just haven't, no, you don't know. It says if you kill one man, it's as if you killed everybody. And if you save one man, it's as if you saved everybody." And it was so funny to watch this guy because he didn't know nothing about it.
He took his own Quran out of context because that verse is not for that. It's about Jews.
I know. To the Israelites, God says.
Yes.
And the next verse is for the Muslims. If someone caused corruption in the land, cut his hands and feet off, crucify him. That's the. But anyway, that is for those of you who Rashid Solomon, that's my cousin. He's saying only one Quran.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, Rashid, these are all English Qurans. There's over 60 of them. Okay, I'll show you the 7 Arabic ones at my house later on. But these are all English translations of the Quran, and so these are. So
Here's the first 250 years of Quranic translation.
Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this? This is the first 250 years of English translations of the Quran.
We got the very first English Quran here done by Alexander Ross in 1649. That's followed by George Sale in 1734. That's then followed by Rodwell in 1861. That is then followed by Palmer. Actually, I can even take this one out because this is 1800s. That's then followed by Palmer. He was a professor of Arabic at Cambridge University in 1881. So actually, this here is the first 250 years of Quranic translation.
Wow. Let me just take a picture of that because I'm so cheesy. I mean, here I am doing the show, and then so this is the first 250 years of English
Quranic
translation. Now you said that you did your thesis or
yes.
on why did
English translation of the Quran. So that's what I discovered. First, the first 250 years of English Quranic translation was all done by Christians for Christians.
By Christians for so all of these were done by Christians for Christians.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The very first Quran translated by a Muslim into English was in 1905 in India.
Oh, okay. Who was that?
His last name was Khan.
Khan.
Now that's one.
Khan?
I don't know. I do not have that book. I've never seen it.
Because I know the Muhsin Khan version of the Quran is very popular.
I've never seen it. That's one of them I don't have, but that was the first one I put there. And there's a reason for that. Why would a Muslim in India translate the Quran in English? Well, here's the reason. Who was under the control of India? The British.
The British. Yeah.
You had British business and merchantmen there trying to proselytize Muslims. And of course, India now largely speaks English.
Oh, I see.
So they put a Quran in English to then start to try to refute all the Englishmen that are there running around trying to proselytize Muslims.
Okay.
So you have now you have Muslims starting to react to that and said, well, we're going to put a Quran in English and try to rebut you. So that's the very first Quran that was put in English by a Muslim.
Was in India.
1905.
Well, you know, if you look, you know, and I know Jay Smith has said this, if you look at the main theologians, Islamic debaters, theologians, they're all from the Southeast Asia. They're not from the Arabs. They're not the Arabs. You know, most of them are, you know, Ahmed Didat, Shabir Ali, Zakir Naik, and all of those guys. They're all from, you know, even today with the British crew over at Speaker's Corner, you know, Hamid Hijab, and all those guys, you know, they're all from, you know, Southeast Asia and stuff, you know.
That's where it started. That's where the debate probably started. And that I think that maybe that culture is just extended.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So what was the second, you said the first group of Qurans was by Christians for Christians. What about the second group?
Yeah, so about the second group, I really divided from 1906 to like 1960. Now, 1960 was an arbitrary pick for me. I might even revisit that at some point in time and actually make it the 1940s.
Okay.
At the end of World War II, because World War II did do something internationally in terms of exposing people to a variety of cultures. So I'm rethinking that. But anyway, in my original thesis, I did 1906 to 1960. And during that time, there was about 54 unique translations made of the English Quran.
54?
54. We have, 15 translations in the 54-year period.
Okay, yes.
We have actually, what started in this period, we have 2 translations by the Ahmadiyas.
Ahmadi, wow.
Who, are they Muslim?
If you ask Muslims, no.
Right.
Yeah.
The very first one was 1917 by Ahmadiyya and Muhammad Ali, who I think produced the English translation that gives the Muslims their arguments they still use today as Christians.
Oh, wow.
Because it has a preface in that book.
Okay.
Which is full of arguments against Christians. And it's my belief after reading that preface, I go, this guy launched Islamic apologetics against the West. And Ahmadiyas. So Muslims, I think your arguments come from Ahmadiyas.
And then right now, today, they're seen kind of peaceful. Whenever you go on television,
yes,
they always want to bring in Ahmadiyya because even though they are such a tiny percentage of the Muslims on CNN, they're the most put out there because they're so
they are peaceful. And I do recognize Muslims don't recognize them as Muslims. So I like to tell my Muslim friends, great, then when we get in dialogues and you want to talk to me about Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons and call them Christian, then don't do that. Otherwise, I'm going to bring it to Ahmadiyas, and we can have that argument. So we can cease with that. So we had 2 Ahmadiyas. We had 4 translations, and this is, again, 1906 to 1960. 15 translations, 2 Ahmadiyas, 4 translations by Westerners. And now we start getting other kind of unique translations. We got the first English Quran, like I said, 1905 by a Muslim. We got the first translation by a Western convert to Islam.
Oh, okay.
Right, we have a Western convert in 1930.
I think I know who this is.
Muhammad Pickthall.
Pickthall, yes.
Yeah.
I know Pickthall. That's a very popular version.
One of the most unique translations of the Quran to come out of that period is this one. This is 1937, George Bell.
George Bell. I've heard of it.
George Bell was professor of Middle Eastern Studies in, I believe, Scotland.
Okay.
He spoke languages fluently. So how was the convert? No,
he was not a convert.
No. I mean, we can ask the question. How was the Quran that Muslims have today? How was it put together? We know the story, right? Was it
Abu Bakr,
Uthman said what to Zayed? Go gather the Quran where?
From Hafsa.
From
Quraishi.
But first it came from, the Hadith says, from the minds of men and from bones and fragments. So how did Zayed put the Quran together? Well, nobody really knows. The Hadith doesn't even tell us. And this is Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari. But you know what this guy did? He made an estimate. He goes, I think I know how Zayed put the Quran together. And this is what he said. He goes, I think he collected a bunch of manuscripts and stuff and just stacked them up, didn't put them in order, and just translated them. And if you read the Quran, you'll understand that. That's probably true because the Quran, one sentence doesn't lead to the next paragraph and doesn't lead to the next. The Quran is a jumbled mess. You can't read it like it doesn't read like a continuing story.
Yeah. I heard the only one that has any semblance of that is the Surah Yusuf.
Yes, exactly.
Joseph.
12. Yeah. That's the only one that does. So what he did is he took the Quran. He goes, you know what? I think I'm going to try to put the Quran in order. This is one of the hardest English Qurans to read. He puts the Quran in the order in which he pulls these two paragraphs out of this surah and these 2 sentences out of this one and tries to put it together. I think it's an interesting idea. It's the most confusing set of books I have to read, but he tried to put it together.
You read it?
No, I haven't read all of it. But he recognizes the Quran is it's a jumbled mess. And he was trying to sort it out for us. It didn't work, but because it's still a jumbled mess.
So what would you say is the defining characteristic of the second group of Qurans? I mean, the first one is that it's by Christians for Christians. What about the second group? What is defined?
That chain of translation by Christians for Christians is broken. Now we have Muslims translating the Quran for a variety of reasons. For dawah, for other Muslims, for to get it out there. So that chain of translation is broken now.
Now I'm just trying to see if there's any. You can see the translation as Hakim Khan translation. Okay, 1905. It was done by Muhammad Abdul Hakim Khan. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. I recognize that. Yeah.
He's Pakistani originally, and so he knows an ex-Muslim too. His name's Adam Seeker. Facebook memorialized him that he died yesterday. I did a series where I was crying at his funeral yesterday. But Anyway, wow.
Yeah, that's right. And he's right. I recognize that name.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just been a hard one for me to find.
Would you, he might have some questions. Would you like me to see? Would you like to come on, Adam? See if you'd like to ask him some questions. I'll go ahead and send you an invite if you'd like to come on. You can Adam quite often comes on with me too. So I'll go ahead and send him an invite. If you'd like to come on, Adam, you're welcome to. I thought this was going to be interesting, but man, this is amazing. I mean, I'm really learning so much right now, because I was wondering, how, because they're English Qurans, and I'm thinking, darn it. You know what? There's the new Adam. Oh, Adam, let me see. Adam. I'm not sure, Adam, if I could, I'm not sure where your thing is to send you a, because I remember they tried to close you up yesterday. So I'll go ahead and send you this and see if you can send that. I sent it on Adam Seeker. So let me go ahead. I hope you can get that, Adam. I don't know if you can.
If not, we can look for it.
Yeah, we could. If you could just send questions, if you have questions, Adam, let me. Okay. Can you text me some questions if you have any questions? Okay. So. Okay, so the first group of Qurans you said was written by Christians for Christians.
Right.
The second group were written, some of them by Muslims.
Starts becoming mixed.
Mixed.
Yeah.
And so this would be from like 1905 to 1960.
Yes.
To Qur'an.
Yeah.
Okay. And were you going to say something else about this second period, or were you go to the next one?
No, that was it. That's pretty much
the
major points.
Okay. And then what is the next group of Qurans?
I call it 1961 to present. And I mean, I've got Qurans here now from 2019, maybe even 2020. Still, like I said today, there is no comprehensive list of English translations of the Quran. There's no place you can go to and say, aha, here's all the known list of English translations of the Quran. I try to maintain one. I'm sure it's missing English translations. So, I look for that. Now, 1961 to present, we have over 48 or so translations in creation. That's the most in any period. It's increasing. In each period, we went from just a few to 15. Now we're almost 50. Mm-hmm. The amount is increasing.
Wow. And
you know what what happened basically in this period? Except for one example, Westerners ceased translating the Quran. It's now all Muslims, Easterners, translating the Quran for Westerners, for Dawah, for other Muslims, because Muslims don't speak Arabic, right?
Yes, only 300,000, 300 million Muslims are Arabs.
Right.
The rest, which is almost 2 billion, the rest of them are all something else.
Oh yeah, they may say their prayers in Arabic.
Yeah. Or memorize the whole Quran.
Absolutely.
And not know what they're talking about.
Absolutely have no clue what they're talking about. So where does a Muslim go to get their knowledge of Islam? They have to go to a translation. Now, again, I recognize what Islam teaches and that the religion must be conducted in Arabic. I often tell my Muslim friends, I'm so sorry for you that your Allah is so limited and Allah can't speak French or German or Japanese. My God can speak all languages. Your God can't.
Yes.
So, okay, so I recognize Muslims don't recognize Qurans translated in other languages, which on one hand they don't. It's almost funny that they don't. I've gone to mosque and witnessed to Muslims, and I'll have a Quran in my hand, like one of these here, both in English and Arabic. And I'll ask my Muslim friend, I go, is this the Quran? And the answers I get are often funny. They'll say, because what? I mean, what if I lay the Quran on the ground? Is that good or is that bad? Right? Mm-hmm. Muslim would say, don't put the Quran on the ground. I said, well, you just said this is in the Quran. Mm-hmm. Can I drop it? And then I watch their face and they panic. I go, why do you panic? You said it wasn't a Quran. because I think in their mind it really is. They know that.
Well, I think that there's a confusion about it because there's so many mixed messages. It's just like you said, the jumbled mess. Literally, because I could just think about when I was a Muslim, I was afraid. I was afraid to throw away a piece of bread because I was told that you'd go to hell for throwing away a piece of bread. And so there's a lot of these different little superstitions that are involved with the Quran. And one thing I also want to say about who's translating the Quran. There's a lot of ex-Muslims who are translating the Quran.
Oh yeah, some of them are here in front of us.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're saying, wait a minute, the CNN Quran, which says, where it says, "Udrubuhunna," beat your wife.
Right.
They translate it, pat her lightly.
Or
hit her lightly with a toothpick or something like that.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
So in this period, I think we start seeing Quranic translation becoming much more liberal in verses like that. But we actually got Qurans here in front of us that are translated by husband and wife teams.
Oh.
So now we got Qurans translated by women. Actually, the first Quran completely translated by a woman without a husband was 2007. The Sublime Quran.
Layla Bakhtiari, I've heard of her. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you have that, right?
I do. I got it out here somewhere in front of us.
In fact, I saw it. Let me just get. I'll show it.
Sublime Quran.
Yeah, it's right here. I saw
there it is.
This, you guys. This is the first Quran ever translated by a woman. This is translated completely by a woman without her husband's permission or anything. So, anyway, so this is the Sublime Quran, and it's by Layla Bakhti or Bakhtiar. Bakhtiar. If she looks sound to that, is that Pakistani or something?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, sounds Asian. So
or Turkish.
Yeah.
I mean, I even got Qurans out here translated by the Quran only movement.
Oh, okay.
You know about the Quran only movement?
Yes. Quran only means they don't accept the hadith or the sunnah. Yeah.
Right. He was a Turkish gentleman. I got Qurans out here translated by Shia. By Sufis.
Wow, Sufis. So, what is like the defining characteristic of this last group that you said from 1961 until the present?
Pretty much now it's only Muslims translating the Quran for Muslims. Completely opposite of what we started off with.
Okay. And they're translating for Muslims or for Christians?
And Dawah.
And Dawah. Okay.
I would say those are the two primary reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because, most Muslims don't speak Arabic.
Okay.
I mean, I've dialogued with Muslims in a mosque, and a Muslim challenged me on something. I turned over to pick up a Quran on the shelf in the mosque, and guess which one? It was an English translation by Yusuf Ali.
Okay.
1934, by the way.
Okay.
And I picked that one up, and I said, oh, here we go. Mm-hmm. And I opened it up. And so, yeah, even in the mosque, I find these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think it's you just hear mixed messages, and it's almost like the abrogation issue. On the one hand, no, Islam, the Quran has to be in Arabic and everything, but then, they go to the universities and the stuff like that. Because I've been to universities and they have the what was the one that I saw at the university? I got one of them. It was called the. I think I saw it. You have one of them over here. It was called. It was a nice Quran. It was, very whitewashed Quran, and so. So
I was looking for my
which one is it?
On the Kufic script.
Oh, the Kufic script.
Have you ever talked about Kufic script to your audience?
I haven't. A little bit. Just the. I've talked a little bit about the diacritical marks and the Dhamma Kasra and.
Can you talk about that for me for a second?
Sure, I'll talk about that. For those of you who don't know that, from the time of Uthman, the belief is that Uthman is the one who got the original Quran, and the belief is that the Quran that you have right now is the Uthmanic Quran. The problem with the Uthmanic Quran is that it did not have diacritical marks. It didn't have diacritical marks or the Kasra, Dhamma, and the Fatha. Sorry, you guys, you can't see me right there. I know you guys want to see my face. And, but, so, that created a whole situation. And that you can look at my video later on today, because I'm going to talk a little bit about Arabic Qurans. This is about English Qurans, guys. These are all English Qurans. Now, I just want to say one thing. I know that there is a gay Quran.
Really?
Yes, and there's a gay Quran. It's been translated. It's
in what language?
It's in English. It's in.
You have to let me know that.
And then there's a feminist Quran. I know. Have you heard about that one?
Oh, that sounds vaguely familiar.
The feminist Quran is like they're the ones that they invite to PBS whenever.
Can you read that?
Okay, this is the Kufic. Let me show the people. I know you guys have seen this before, but this is like the Kufic, And this is some of the problems, like when you talk about the Sana manuscript and those old ones. The thing is, they don't have the dots. They don't have the kasra, the fatha, or the dhamma, to where you really don't know what they're saying, And so.
And that was the Quran of the Quran that was put in written form during the time of Muhammad. This is it. Because those marks weren't developed until after Muhammad's death.
Yeah, by about 100 years almost.
So when my Muslim friends want to tell me there's only one Quran, the Quran that Muhammad had is the Quran we have today, I say, really? Because the Quran you had during Muhammad's time looked like this. It does not look like the Quran that you have today with your other scripts that you pick up. So if there's one Quran, like my Muslim friends say, I say, well, which Quran is it that's sitting in heaven on golden plates? I can tell you what it is. It's this one right here that you can't even read. Because I take this book on the street with me and I ask Muslims, read this. And they can't. And I say, that's right. You're reading the original Quran. And you tell me there's only one Quran. So the Quran that you have, which you can read, looks nothing like this one. You got a different Quran.
Yeah. Well, I've done many episodes about, I'm not a perfect Arabic reader, but I learned, from the time I was 9 until 11, I lived in the Holy Land. And so I went to madrasa there for 3 years. I went 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, which I learned how to read and write Arabic. And because I worked in television, I have continued to read and write Arabic. And so my Arabic is good enough to be able to look at these Arabic and this issue right here of the Kufic script and the dots, because, I've done many episodes with Adam. And for instance, there would be the consonant that is drawn, but they put the dot on top. And there's a passage about angels. And it says, Humma ind ir-Rahman. It says they are with the merciful, because the dot is on top. But then in the Warsh version, they put the dot on the bottom, and it becomes Humma abd ir-Rahman, because it completely changes the word when you put the dot on the bottom, change it from an N to a B. And so, and then I asked my cousins, I said, look at these two different Qur'ans, the Hafs and the Warsh, the two most popular ones. One of them says they are with the Most High. This one says they are slaves of the Most High. And it's the same verse, but the problem is they put a dot on top or they put a dot on the bottom. You see, and so this issue of the diacritical mark is a huge issue.
We know now there's just not one Quran. Because many. You can go out and buy many.
I have 7 at my house, so.
This book
in Arabic.
This book was just printed. J. Smith just recognized this book.
The second canonization.
This talks about all those different translations that you have. Oh, wow. This book just came out 30 days ago.
Oh, wow.
It is brand new and talks about all the different translations of the Quran. And
I gotta get that.
So there is no one Quran.
No.
Matter of fact, I like to share this one with my Muslim friends when I go to mosque. And this one here is kind of one of my favorites. It's funny. I'll take this to mosque and I'll ask the Muslim, is this the Quran? They say, well, sometimes the answer I get is the English is not the Quran. Only the Arabic is the Quran. Okay. And so I go to the end of Surah 9 and I show my Muslim friends, I go, you know what? In Arabic, the last 2 verses of Surah 9, this translator took them out. He said they don't belong in the Quran.
Oh, dude.
Guess what happened to this guy?
I know. Let me just guess. They killed him.
They killed him in Arizona.
In Arizona?
Yeah. Now, he is sort of a mystic Quran because to him, I think the number 19. I think the number's 19.
Oh yeah.
He sees the number 19 everywhere and in everything. It's kind of a mystic. But yeah, he translated the Quran, omitted in Arabic those last two verses, and you're right, they killed him.
Well, look what they did to Uthman. You know.
Right.
I mean, everybody.
Right.
You know that. Wow. And dude, but that's in America that he killed them.
Yes. Yeah, Arizona. I want to say it's Tucson or Phoenix. One of those two. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that. You know. Well, I don't want to get in trouble. So.
Yes.
Okay. So, can you tell us a little bit about some of these Qurans? You got notes on some of these. Can we just go over there and just look at some of this?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna look at some of these Qurans here, and let me see.
Well, I thought this one here was
Let me come around here.
quite interesting
Okay.
in that. So here we have English Quran with both English. First of all, not all of these have Arabic and English text. Some are just English text, and they omit the Arabic. This one has both English and Arabic text, but what I thought was interesting here is a note here to the reader. It says,
Dedicated
the
to
Holy
that.
Quran revealed in Arabic and Quran is the only Arabic text, not a translation or any other language. But then he says, please note that the requirement of handling this book and touching it with clean hands. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's treating it like it's an Arabic Quran, of which it's not. But see, there's that confusion in Islam. You know, he basically wants you to treat it like an Arabic Quran.
Mm.
Here's a Quran done by a Jew who converted.
Well, Zayd ibn Thabit was Jewish.
Yeah.
Ben Shemesh, mashallah. Wow.
I have one Quran here from 1980. It's very popular. It's called the Muhammad Assad Quran.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
Which is banned in Saudi Arabia.
Why?
Because he was a Jew.
Oh.
Also.
But what about Zayd?
Yeah.
Oh, he was a Jew. Is he a Jew who converted to Islam or just a Jew?
Yeah, Jew converted to Islam. Translated the Quran. And it happens to be a Quran that's accepted by one of them that's accepted by the Nation of Islam.
Wow. I'm very interested okay, this is Surah 15. I'm very interested to see a couple of passages in this.
If there were any of note, maybe I'd put a note on it.
Okay.
Maybe
929.
Yeah.
I actually want to see 931.
Yeah, there's 929.
Okay, so
930.
I'm wondering how he translated 931 because that's one that I love to.
Yeah, it's going to be right around here. So.
Okay. Messiah there. Okay. The Jews claim that their leader, scribe Ezra, was a son of Allah, while the Christians claim that the Messiah is the son of Allah. Such utterings from their mouths resemble the words of the Urib, unbelievers before them, be they cursed by Allah. Nice. How do they lie? The Christians adopt their sages and monks as lords over them, besides Allah and also the Messiah. You see, in Arabic, it's Allah and the Messiah. You see, but they add that also to make it look like Messiah belongs with the priests and the rabbis. So this was done by a Jew, huh?
Yeah.
This was done by a Jew. It's called the Noble Quran.
This is that Quran that was done by the Quranic only gentleman.
Oh, Quran.
He's from Turkey.
A reformist translation.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So he totally rejects the Hadith. And there's no Arabic in here either, is there?
Okay.
Because Arabic's not his language. It's a Turk.
Okay. Let me look at. You know what? This has really been my main verse as of late.
931.
Is it? Yeah, 931. What it goes from 9:1? Oh, it goes this way then.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's in English. Duh. Okay, my brain is. They took their scholars and priests to be lords besides God and the Messiah. Hey, rock on, reformist. You got it right. Okay.
Here's a Quran I just thought was so funny. This Quran I can just tell by handling it, it's not that old. See if I can find the date here. 1995.
Okay. Well,
I don't know why this English Quran translator uses Old English.
oh, okay.
Ye,
Is
verily,
he-
shall.
Is he a Muslim? Or?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just odd that a 1995 Quranic translation is going to use what we call the
King
King's English. You can look at this Quran, the thematic translation Quran, and look at Surah 434.
Okay, this is the one that they hand out
They hand this out a lot
at the university.
They do.
Yeah, because I got one of these from the university.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what does 434 say?
Okay, 430. Oh, do you have that marked here?
Yeah.
434.
I
Okay.
should.
Oh, this is going to be funny, man. Okay, men are the caretakers of women, as men have been provisioned by God over women and tasked with supporting them financially. And righteous women are devotedly obedient when alone, protective of what God has entrusted them with. And if you sense ill conduct from your women, advise them first. If they persist, do not share their beds. But if they still persist, then discipline them gently. But if they change their ways, do not be unjust with them. God is most high. Discipline them gently.
What does the Arabic say?
Udrubuhunna, and that's a very the word udrubuhunna. It could be like, or it could be boom.
Right.
It doesn't have limitation. It's udrubuhunna. There's no lightly. It's nothing about not on the face. Nothing about not breaking bones.
Right.
I hate to say it, but in the Arabic Quran, 434 says udrubuhunna. That one of the words why no woman should be a Muslim. No woman should want her daughter to be a Muslim because of chapter 4, verse 34. It's a command. It's in the imperative. Udrubuhunna. So anyway.
Let me share with you a story I heard yesterday from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the country. I want to say possibly Nigeria. A African woman was given a Bible by it was either a friend or a relative. And she read it and converted to Christianity. She hid it from her husband. He found the Bible in her one of her travel bags and says, "Why do you have this?" And she said, "Well, it was given to me and I wanted to compare it to the Holy Quran." And then she admitted to her husband, "I read the Bible. I was convicted by it. I'm now a Christian." You know what he did? He beat her. He beat her. And then he shoved, he had poison used for agriculture and forced it down her throat. So, he beat her. Where do you think he learned that from?
Well, it's the imperative.
It is.
It's the imperative.
Right.
It's a command. And then you look also that, Muslims say, well, Muhammad never hit his wives. No, he hit Aisha. And it says...
Sahih Muslim,
yes.
If I remember correctly, is hadith number 2227. Mm-hmm. And he said, in English, it says, he punched me in the chest so hard he caused me to hurt.
Yeah, it caused me pain.
Muhammad beat Aisha.
And, it's like,
right.
It's so painful to talk about these things, but you have to know the truth about this is what Muhammad did. And don't believe CNN. Don't believe the media. These things are, because there's this Australian woman, reporter once, and she had an ex-Muslim woman and a Muslim woman with her. And the Muslim woman was wearing hijab and everything.
Right.
And then the ex-Muslim said, well, one of the reasons why, I don't believe in Islam is because it commands men to beat their wives. The Australian woman with her long blonde hair and everything said to her, he said, yes, beat her lightly. And I'm thinking, you idiot, you
Right.
idiot.
You don't
find-
even know your own religion.
She's a Christian.
Yes,
Or she looks, I don't know if
Right.
she was, but yeah, anyway.
And this is one, like you said, they give away in university. You can
I
buy
have one.
these by the case, and they give them out for $1.
Well, I saw a girl at the university, at their table, and I went and watched, and she goes, la, 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 la. I mean, she was converting to Islam.
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything about religion,
Right.
and she's converting to Islam. La, 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 la. And they're giving out these Qur'ans at the university and telling people, and the tables, the tables say, "We love Jesus." That's what the tables say,
Right.
with the red heart.
I've seen
We
that.
love Jesus.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And it's like, and Muslims love Isa. They do, but the problem is it's a different Jesus.
You got the wrong one.
It's the wrong Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Here's a Quran
Mhm.
translated by a Westerner, who I believe is not a Christian, just and mainly an academic. And so let me just ask you about the Quran. If I ask a Muslim, they'll say, well, of course the Quran, it's from Allah, the perfect one, is on golden plates in heaven. But there's been people who have studied the Quran and say, well, the Quran isn't from this Allah. Matter of fact, we have documents sourcing where some of the Quran actually comes from.
the Talmud.
Exactly. Here's a Quran which does just that.
Oh, wow.
Surah 3, Ayah 49, and we got a footnote here, and it talks about the source of this ayah, this verse in Surah 3:49 as what? It's from the infancy gospel of Thomas.
This is where Jesus spoke as a baby, or he raised, yeah.
Right. So we have English Qurans, which are starting to source some of the actual sources of where the Quranic passages come from.
Yes, yeah.
Because we know that there's nothing new under the sun.
Well, like the story of the three guys who slept for 100 years in a cave.
Right.
And the Talmud, so much is from the Talmud. I mean, stuff that is not in the Torah. It's in the Talmud, Jewish Talmud. So Hussein Nasser, my cousin.
You can look at
New translation and commentary.
you can look at 929 in that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll go to the note here on that, and you can see how he translates that one.
Is it here?
No, the actual text is probably right down.
Okay, it's a little bit hard for my senior citizen eyes.
Okay.
Can you read it there? 929. This is the love verse, love chapter. Surah al-Tawbah.
It completely changes. Oh, that's right. This is a note to that. So 929, fight those who believe not in God or the last day, but and who do not forbid what God had called his messenger forbidden, and who follow not the religion of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes on to say, though this verse speaks of people among those who were given the book, the Quran also mentions those who were given the book, both to praise certain Jews and Christians and to criticize some of them. Thus, the mere fact that their identity as people of the book cannot be the single decisive reason why they should be fought.
Well, that's
So the Quran, the verse says, fight them, and he has a footnote that says, no, don't do that.
Means, yeah.
Yeah, and again, to my Muslim friends, I always say, they tell me, oh, the Quran is the most clear book and easy to understand. It's like,
Mubin is the word.
no, it's not, because I got authors here telling me that I can't understand it.
Yes, the magnificent message.
The magnificent message, Quran. And you'll like this one on Surah 354.
354?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Starts right there.
Okay. Yet those determined to perpetrate evil plotted against Jesus. However, God created his own efficient plot. Surely God is beyond all schemers. It's so funny is that in the Arabic, it's the same word. It's makaru, makarallah, Allah khair al-makirin. Here they changed the word. One is plot, one is schemers. When God said to Jesus, I will cause you to die and bring you near to me. Oh, well, they got that part right. Then I will cleanse you from the perfidious presence of godless. What's more, I will place your followers as far above those who strive. You know what? I'm doing a big thing on this verse right here.
Good.
Inni mitwafiku rafa'at ilayya in Arabic, and here I will cause you to die.
Right.
And bring, you know, so at least they're translated that right. So wow.
Here's another one with also this the same verse. They deceive what?
Okay, they deceived and God okay, well, you know what? They're being on. Who did this one? Muhammad Jasib? At least you're honest, Muhammad. Muhammad is honesty, guys. I know a lot of them want to say it means plotter and planner and everything and seeing it, but this guy says it the way it really is. The verse where it says, Makaru Allah khair al-makirin. This is what it says here. It says, they deceived and God deceived them. God is the best deceiver.
Wow.
And then he translated this right too. He says, and God said, oh, Jesus, I'm letting you die. You guys, this guy at least is translating it correctly. This guy's a Muslim?
I'm not sure we can read the back. He says, this is the most awesome Quran.
You know what?
Here on the back, he said, that's what it says. He's also in Arizona, Scottsdale.
Dr. Jasser is a noted physician, trained, board certified, 3 different specialties. Okay. Well, yeah, in Scottsdale, that's right next to Phoenix. Mm-hmm. You know what? The 2 things I saw in here, theirs is better than a lot of the other Qurans I've seen, because it says khair al-makirin. It translated that correctly, and that Jesus died. It admits that Jesus died. I made you to die. It doesn't. They don't try to change it. I took you. It means literally. Inni mitwafik.
I think. Yeah, this is Ahmedi.
Majid Qur'an. Yeah. Glory. This
is a husband and wife team.
Oh. How did they do 434?
Exactly. 434 starts. That's 433. Let me find that's 35. You can even start right there. You want to read it? So virtuous woman.
Okay. So virtuous women are those who are obedient to Allah and guard their own chastity as well as the rights and secrets of their husbands, even in their absence, as Allah has guarded the women's rights. Mm-hmm. You can tell who wrote that part, the women did. The wife
right,
did.
Women's rights.
As for those women on whose part you apprehend disobedience and bad behavior, you may admonish them first lovingly, and then refuse to share their beds with them. And as a last resort, punish them mildly. Okay, yeah, just a little.
Isn't that interesting?
One of them says, pat them lightly.
Right.
Or pet them lightly.
Right.
So, yeah, well, that's not what the Quran says, but, I mean, the Arabic. So.
Right, and this is an Ahmedi Quran,
yeah,
by a husband and wife team.
Ahmedi, of course, yes.
Right?
Wow. Well, I want to ask you a little bit about, you kind of gave us an idea. You gave us kind of like a roadmap of your experience with the English Quran subject, and you've got all of these Qurans, and you're probably going to get more, because I know 3 friends of mine who have written Quran, who've translated, who are ex-Muslims. The ex-Muslims who are saying, wait a minute, what you guys got in America is not what. Even though I mean, with those few that you showed me. They're pretty honest about some of the words, and they're not trying to whitewash it. Right. And there's some people like Yasser Qadhi, for all his flaws. One of the things that he says that he says, don't lie about Islam. Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl. Don't lie about history.
Right.
Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl.
Right.
He had sex with her when she was 9.
Right.
Don't lie.
Right.
Don't lie. Just tell the truth. So some of these guys are telling the truth.
Right.
And. But that what has been your? I mean, you started out for one particular reason. You kind of studied and got your degree and all that stuff. what is the, I mean, why does somebody have all these Qurans? What is the importance of having all these English translations of the Quran?
You know, it's one thing I found most helpful is to see how Muslims are dishonest.
Oh.
Now, some Muslims are dishonest. And as you said, some ex-Muslims are honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the struggle here.
Okay.
Because there's a dishonesty amongst the Muslims who know in the Western world
Mm-hmm.
that beating women and jihad and don't take the Jews, the Christians as friends,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't play well. No Muslim I know is going to go to a university and say, convert to Islam where you can beat your women, you can have up to 4 wives, don't take Jews and Christians as friends, and oh, aren't we wonderful, come to that religion. It's not going to work. That's why they do deceptive translations and soften the historical Islam.
CNN Quran.
But then we have those either Muslims, Ahmadiyas, ex-Muslims, born in the countries and understand the languages and say, no, I don't like things like the clear Quran, which hides true Islam. We'll show you true Islam and translate the language as it was originally. And so there's this conflict going on, raging in front of us here that I like to read, see, and understand.
Mm-hmm. That's, you know what, just from what you've showed me here, I see this. I see what you're saying. I see I see this development and the progression
Mm-hmm.
and the struggle that Muslims are having,
Right.
as they are trying to be true to their beliefs,
Right.
and yet at the same time trying to show Muhammad in a positive light. And there's this struggle and to market their religion
Mm-hmm.
to the West
Mm-hmm.
in a way. And you know what? They they've got the media on their side, which is helping push this.
Mm-hmm.
Islam. George Bush said Islam is a religion of peace,
Oh,
even though
yeah.
Muslims are very honestly, lots of them very honestly saying, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to pretend that we are. We're not,
Right.
And so, but they're trying to promote this, and I could just see, just from the few things that I've seen, I could see that struggle.
Oh yeah, there's a struggle for the message of Islam, and that is by faithful Muslims who understand the true message of Islam and want to tone it down and sell it to Western converts.
Yes.
And then there's those other groups, primarily ex-Muslims, who say, no, I'm going to really show you what the true Islam, the Islam of the 4 rightly guided, or you could say 3 rightly guided caliphs,
Mm-hmm.
the Islam as practiced and known by them at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could see that, and I was really impressed by that one.
By Jasser?
Jasser,
Yeah.
Muhammad Jasser. That's, I'm surprised, and every now and then you'll find, like I said, Yasser Qadi says, you guys don't apologize, because, I think it was Shabir Ali who was trying to say, no, she wasn't 6 years old. She was 18 or something like that.
Right.
But then Yasser Qadi said, we don't need to apologize for our religion. Yes, our prophet was 54 years old, and he got married to a 6-year-old girl, and he had sex with her when she was 9. He was 54, she was 9. They had sex. Don't apologize for that.
Right.
Well, don't lie. And I thought, good for you, Yasser Qadi. At least tell the truth about it.
I respect my Muslim dialogue when I reach a Muslim like that who's just absolutely honest,
Mm-hmm.
and quit trying to play taqiya and hide and deceive me. Because I often tell Muslims, I say, while I may not be conversant in your language, I'm conversant enough to understand, words, concepts, and I've got all your hadiths and tafsirs, and you saw my room back there, the library. I study your religion. I know what it teaches originally. So I said, look, I'm the Christian your mama warned you about. I've read your books. I understand Islam. So quit lying and just be truthful.
Well, and most Muslims haven't read their books.
They haven't
even read the Quran
Absolutely.
in English or Chinese or Arabic or whatever.
Absolutely.
They just hear what they hear.
That's my experience. Yes.
On television, on television or in the mosque, and they don't, I know from my own experience. And,
and even fewer have the hadiths.
Yeah, and then but there's a few things that they do know for sure.
Yeah,
and and I often think about the because I'm an ex-Muslim and I have so much resistance from my relatives saying,
sure,
don't do this, you're shaming us, you're brought shame to the family and everything like that. And this subject right here, I just want to tell you that, and I've heard Christians say things like, well, there's many different Bible and translations and stuff like that, and I guess I'll let you respond to that, because I've had Christians who do say, wait a minute, well, there's so many Bibles, and I know Muslims who tell me when they say, oh, every few weeks they come up with a new Bible. How would you respond to that particular?
I would say, it's much like the Qur'ans we see here. Most Muslims would say, and if you were an honest Muslim, you would say, fine, you got 60 plus English translations in front of you, but they are translated from the same source document or documents. They are just the author's way of interpreting that single source document. Well, it's the same with Christianity. I have Muslims tell me all the time, right? A very common argument. You have the KJV, the NIV, the ASB, XYZ, and etc. Look, you got all these different Bibles. I say, no, we don't. While they are translations, they are all from the same source.
Okay.
No language translates into another language easily.
Mm-hmm.
There are liberties that the authors, the translators, take when they do that. There's what's called static and dynamic translation.
Mm-hmm.
Static, very like word for word. See, that's the criticism of the George Sale Quran.
Mm-hmm.
Most everybody that hates his Quran hates it because he tried to do a word for word translation. And that doesn't work out so well.
Not when you get the grammar.
Exactly.
Verbs.
Right. And that's why his Quran is very hard to read.
Okay.
He was trying to be extraordinarily faithful to the language. That's a static translation. Mm-hmm. That's just, don't change it. You go dynamic is now, maybe we got this one Arabic word because in English, I may need to take 2 or 3 English words to convey that meaning. Yeah. Well, every language has that issue. So, we have different English translations. I mean, well, what is the Bible from? It's Hebrew, it's Greek, it's Aramaic. Mm-hmm. We're translating, and the Greek language is superior to, I think, deficient English. I mean, even the Greek words that they had for love, we don't even have in this English language. Mm-hmm. So translators are faced with, when love is used in the original Greek, what kind of love is it? Is it a love between a man and a woman? Is it a different kind of love that two friendship love, right? So there's all these different words. And so, you're going to have different translations that the translators are going to have to first make in their mind static or dynamic. Most are dynamic. And so how can I convey this love that's not an eros love between a man and a wife? That's a love between friends. Mm-hmm. Well, so you got different translations for that. Does it mean the text is different? No, because it's all from the same text. Mm-hmm. That's the difference.
Okay. That's whereas with the Quran, you got so many different Quran, and then we just get into we have the ancient manuscripts. We got 5,000 plus ancient manuscripts that are either whole books and Bibles up to the 300 and parts. Mm-hmm. And that's what's used to translate our Bible from. Mm-hmm. So we don't have different Bibles. We have different translations. Mm-hmm. It's the same text. Mm-hmm. It's just the translator's preferences. So it's not that it's different. Mm-hmm. So when they say different Bibles, it's dishonest or the average Muslim, I mean, that's what they hear. They do not understand translation. Mm-hmm. As we have here in front of us. Mm-hmm. Muslims translating your text. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. And there's one thing I want to say too, just on this point, because the subject, like I have done many programs about the different Arabic Qurans, and the differences between them.
Right.
and why this is such a thing for me. This is the most personal. I mean, I've been a Christian 41 years. I got saved when I was 15. And yet I still feel a little bit of anger when I look at these different Qurans and I see not only do they have different dots in different places, they have whole words in different places. You know, there's one verse that says Allah al-Ghani in the Hafs, and in the Warsh it's Allah who al-Ghani. I mean, they add a whole word, you know, and the to where the meaning is changed. And what makes me angry about it is that I was so indoctrinated, and even one of my cousins already wrote that there was only one Quran.
There's not.
Yeah, but I was told there was only one, and it came from the preserved tablet. It's called the Lawh al-Mahfuz in Arabic. Right. And every dot, every line, every thing, and you Christians, you corrupted your gospel. Right. The Jews corrupted the Torah, but nobody can change the Quran because the Quran says in Arabic, "Inna anzalna al-dhikr wa nahnu lahu lihafidhun." Allah says, we sent down the Quran and we preserve it. Well, what does that mean? When you got, and now you're looking at all these different Qurans, and now that Hatun Tash and Jay Smith come up with 37 different Qurans, you know, and those are just, and there's others and there's more, but those are the ones, 37, and they're all got differences in them. The Hafs and the Warsh, the two biggest, have over 1,300 differences. That makes me angry because it makes me feel like I was lied to. Somebody along the line lied to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was willing to die. When I was a Muslim, I was willing to die. And I know there are Muslims today willing to die for the belief that there is one Qur'an. Right. And they're willing to die for it because and yet we see, wait a minute, there's a gazillion. There's so many that you can't keep up with it. The differences are I believe that there was over 90,000 that they found so far. And then that makes you angry.
And these are Qurans bought in Muslim countries
in Arabic
only, who all say there's only one Quran.
Mm-hmm. And so what they'll tell you is, no, this isn't the Quran. This is a recitation. Oh, no, this is a qira'ah. No, this is a harf. Oh, no, hada rawaya. Oh, no, hadi mish Quran, hadi tarjuma. And they come up with all these explanations.
But the words are different.
But it's books, it's Quran. It looks like a Quran. Yeah. It looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a duck.
Right.
And so, anyway.
You know, one thing I did, I to Jay Smith, you know, because he's comparing Arabic Qurans, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. I told him about my library here. I said, as far as I know, this is the greatest in terms of number of English Qurans. I said, and a lot of these English Qurans have Arabic text.
Yeah.
I said, Jay, if you ever want to expand your study into the English translation, into the Arabic they used in the English translation, and compare those, I bet we're going to find the same differences.
Yeah. Wow.
Because what Arabic is this?
Yeah.
Here's one of the earliest Indian Qurans. What Arabic is this? You know, I mean, it would just be a great. Did he use the same Arabic manuscript here in this is like 1911 that we used in 99? I don't know. I thought we're going to find some of the same. So anyway, I made that offer to him. You can come look at my English Qurans and the Arabic script in them, and include that as part of your study.
Dude, this is wow. I'm really blown away. And you know what? It's so funny because my simple explanation is, a bunch of English Quran doesn't mean it, but man, it really does. It is so relevant to the discussion, and it shows so much about the history of the development and the fact that the first printed Quran. When was the first printed Quran?
In English?
Yeah.
That's
or Arabic.
1543.
1543.
Printed in Latin.
First, okay.
Yeah.
First, I mean, before the Arabic was printed.
Oh, yeah.
This was
because Islam rejected the printing press.
Okay. So the first printed Quran was in Latin.
Yes.
Wow.
In a Western nation.
Wow. That's amazing. So anyway, y'all, this is the history of Islam. This is the history of the Quran. These are all English Qurans. And, there's so many issues raised by this, so many questions, and so many things that we were taught that this contradicts. And yet, this is the reality. This is the concrete evidence of this. I don't even know how to describe it. You know, I know what I was told when I was taught in madrasa. There's one Qur'an. No one can change it. Every dot, and it's supposed to be Arabic. And yet here our brother told us that the third most widespread language of Quran translation is English. And look at all these English Qurans. And look at all the different ways everything is translated. And, and we always come back at the end. We always come back at the end that the purpose for this is to show you that first of all, there is a myth that you have been taught, if you're Muslim, like I was taught, that there is one Qur'an, unchangeable, perfectly preserved, every dot, every kasra, dhamma, fatha, all of it. It's a myth. And if they lied to you about that, somebody along the line lied. They lied about that. What else did they lie to you about? I'll tell you what else they lied to you about. Chapter 4, verse 157. They did not kill him. They did not crucify him. It was made to appear so to them. Jesus did come. He was killed for you to save you from your sins. And I don't care about religion. I care about your eternal soul, that you would know Jesus Christ, that you'd be ready to meet him because he's coming back. And would you like to have one last word that you would like to say, brother?
Along the line of what you say, Muslims often say, right, not one dot has been changed, right? But the dots didn't exist at the time of Muhammad. They didn't exist. So when you as a Muslim say that, oh, not one dot has been changed.
And they're saying it.
They did not exist. You don't know the history of your own book. That statement that you make right there, if you're a Muslim, you just refute your own Quran. Go back and look at the Kufic manuscript where there are no dots. Mm-hmm. You've been given a false book. You've been taught it's holy. It's not. I've read it. I've studied it. I studied your other books. Yeah, and we were talking earlier. Muslims have a deep respect for Jesus, but there's a problem. You've got the wrong one. And even the Christian holy book, there's no verse in your Quran which says the Bible is corrupt. Period. And I often tell my Muslim friends, we can have that conversation. I know Muslims say it. There is no verse which says the Bible is corrupt. You can't trust it. I encourage you, my Muslim friends, to read my scriptures, which your scriptures say are faithful. Go to Surah 10, 94 and 95, where it says, go ask the people of the book. That's me. Mm-hmm. All right. And to go ask me about my book. I encourage you, you are free to read my book, and your Quran doesn't say you can't. Yeah. Do it.
And you know what? That verse, it doesn't just say, come ask me about my book.
Right.
That verse tells you to come ask me about your book.
It does. Right. If you are in doubt that to what has been received before. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, the reason we're doing this is because we love you. We want you to know Jesus Christ. He is alive. He's the Son of God. He died for you. He came back to life. Just say this. Say, Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. He loves you. We love you. I'm just going to take the camera and just do to show you all these different Qurans real quickly here. So, okay. Brother, thank you so much. This was amazing. Just amazing. And I just wanted to just to show you guys the different Qurans here. Look at this. There's one Quran. That's what they told us. And each year, come back next year, you probably have twice as many. Look at this. Look at all these different Qurans. This is the oldest English Quran.
1649.
1649, you guys. Wow. All right. Thank you, guys. I love you. Jesus loves you. Be blessed. And thank you again, Professor. That was